Boom! Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, shapes, and sizes as well. Welcome to the Piledriver Podcast. I believe this is episode 23 of the Piledriver Podcast. Unless Gav's gonna correct me, Gav. Am I right or am I wrong?
I would never dare correct you. It is exactly right.
Never dare correct me. It's exactly right. Ooh, that's good. Shh. Right then. So tonight, we're going to be talking about the pay-per-view that's happening tonight in the world of WWE, which is the Elimination Chamber. And we're also going to be talking about memories of past Elimination Chambers as well. What was good, what was bad, predictions for tonight, the long-term effects and how that's going to potentially shape this year's WrestleMania, and also the other questions like who was the only Intercontinental Champion winner in an Elimination Chamber? Who has won the most Elimination Chambers? Who has the most eliminations in the Elimination Chamber as well? And who are some of the surprise ones that you might have forgotten about thinking, really? They was in an Elimination Chamber? So, yeah, Gav, kick us off with tonight then. What are your memories of the Elimination Chamber, good or bad or indifferent?
I remember watching the first one thinking this is a great idea, and then it got used too much. It's like Hell in a Cell, but what done?
Yeah, I tell you what, I did like playing the Elimination Chamber though on SmackDown. I think was it Here Comes the Pain?
I don't know, but I had to grab my copy.
Or Bring the Pain.
With Brock.
2K17 as well. Yes, do you know what? Yeah, played that. And it's also great to play that on 2K19 as well, the Elimination Chamber. The fact that you can jump on top of the pods. Do you want to talk about 20?
It didn't exist. It killed the franchise.
Didn't exist. It didn't exist. Just like the whole of the year of 2020, it didn't exist. We're going to erase it. There were no calendars or anything. I think it is 2020. Yeah, that's right. 21, 20-ish. Yeah. And, and obviously the pandemic has hit the world hard, but it also must have hit the offices of THQ, I think it is, who make the games of WWE. Is that right? Is it THQ? Or is it now under somebody else? And it used to be Jack Specific, didn't it?
I can't remember anymore.
But whoever designed that game was hit with some kind of I don't really like wrestling virus, because that game is absolutely diabolical. But back onto the Elimination Chamber.
And published by 2K
Visual
Sports.
Concept. That's it. Sorry, 2K Sports. Yeah, utter garbage for anybody who has played it. I haven't played it. Well, I've not played it, but I've seen a lot of footage to make me not want to play it. So we'll just wait for 21 and see what that's like. So memories of Elimination Chamber then. So what's your favourite moment that you've seen of any of the chambers, Gav?
The door breaking and not opening properly.
Yeah.
That was the best.
Yep, yeah, that's class. I did love seeing people get thrown through the pod doors as well.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that. So yeah, have you got a funny story or some funny facts about the Elimination Chamber?
Well, you wouldn't guess who the person that's won it the most times ever, because he never wins anything.
Now, I might be being over cynical here, but he's not married to the boss's daughter, is he, by any chance?
Who would have thought? It's almost like screwing the boss's daughter gets what you want.
Yeah, who would have thought that? I mean, that's like really cynical thinking, because surely he would have had to work his way through some really good storylines and build it up all the way to winning it. So are we saying that Triple H has won the most Elimination Chambers?
Yeah, he's actually won more than John Cena, which is surprising.
That is surprising, because I thought John Cena was Vinnie Mac's illegitimate son. So yeah, That is surprising. So Triple H, ladies and gentlemen, has won the most elimination chambers, and depending on what you think of it, some of us might be thinking, crikey, how boring were the other people in the chamber that he managed to win it. But when you look at the first one, the entrants in that first elimination chamber are amazing. The first one he didn't win, but he obviously won after that. The first one was won by the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Champion as well. He actually lost it.
He did. That's right. Yeah, and that was a great elimination chamber. What a way to kick it off, because you had obviously Shawn Michaels, you had Triple H, Kane, Booker T, Chris Jericho, a little bit of the bubbly, and RVD, Rob Van Dam. So you had everything from brawlers to extremely technically gifted wrestlers in there as well. So you had a little bit of something for everybody. And then the next one, the entrance in that for 2003 for SummerSlam was Shawn Michaels. Good start. Bill Goldberg. All right, it's 2003. Goldberg still had something to offer back then. And then it declined a little bit with Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, and then Kevin, who took my kneecaps, Nash, was in there as well. So, Triple H won that one. Not exactly a great one, that one, though.
Goldberg actually lasted a long time in that match.
He did. I think he jackhammered almost everybody in that one as well, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and still didn't win. But, I remember playing, I can't remember which game it was now. It might have been... Was it SmackDown? One of the PlayStation 2 games, SmackDown. It might have been Just Bring It or Here Comes the Pain. And, and my character, Diablo Dave Abbott, was in an elimination chamber, and Goldberg was about to jackhammer me. There was only me and him left, and he was about to jackhammer me, and I don't know what I did, but when you just start button bashing, and you just produce a digital miracle. What I did was, he got me in the jackhammer position, and I reversed it. I jackhammered Goldberg and pinned him, and thus became the debut title win for Diablo Dave Abbott on PlayStation 2. True story, guys. You had to be there. Any other sort of things worth noting about, Gav? The idea of the Elimination Chamber, what it can lead to, and things like that.
It's a 16-foot high, 36 foot in diameter, weighs 10 short tons, or basically 9 tons and a little bit.
Yeah.
Short tons. It sounds better if you say
short tons. It's short. They're short-tongued, did you say?
Yeah, short-tongued, yeah. It's £2,000 per short ton.
Wow.
For reasons.
That's epic. That's
2
epic.
miles of chain around
Yep.
the cage. And there's been 26, not including tonight's 2.
I didn't know that. There's been as many as that. There's been 26 elimination chambers.
Yeah. Last one was at Elimination Chamber last year. Who would have thought?
Funnily enough. Yeah. Because the first elimination chamber was actually brought into Survivor Series 2002, wasn't it? And then it was obviously SummerSlam. And then it went on to New Year's Revolution. Yeah, and then the following year, it was New Year's Revolution. So after Triple H won SummerSlam and New Year's Revolution, John Cena won the...
Demonetized.
You can't see him. Still don't get that. I don't think I ever will. And so John Cena won 2006, representing the Raw brand. That one, though, had a decent mix, but I'll save the last. I'll save one of the entrants for last. So we had obviously John Cena, the winner, Shawn Michaels, because Shawn Michaels wasn't in the years previous, which Triple H won. That was Randy Orton, Batista, Chris Jericho, Benoit, and Edge. Then Shawn Michaels made a return to the one which Cena won. Kurt Angle as well in that one, so brilliant. Kane, Carlito Cole was in that one, which does seem a little bit odd. But even more strange than that, the Master Lock, Chris Masters, was in that one, which...
Why?
I ain't being funny, but you might as well have put me in there for how relevant that was. Do you know what I mean? That's Chris Masters. Do you know, did Chris Masters actually wrestle any matches? Because all I remember him doing was coming out and doing the Master Lock Challenge, which was basically a full Nelson, wasn't it? And then whoever it was probably usually like Crash Holly or someone like that, had to try and get out of it.
Yeah, he wasn't exactly utilised as a wrestler.
No, he wasn't, was he? I mean, he was like well built, wasn't he? But I don't know if Vince really backed him in terms of his moves. And then the following year, it was, well, no, in fact, it was the same year. It was in 2006. We had 2 Elimination Chambers, December to Dismember, when WWE bought ECW and absolutely destroyed it from the inside out.
Speaking of Chris Masters, he actually beat Orange Cassidy on the 27th of February last year.
In what? What in?
Bar Wrestling 54.
No way. Chris Masters is still going.
Yeah.
Wow. I also didn't realise as well how short Matt Cardona's contract was with AEW. I thought he was like a permanent fixture of AEW, but he's now on Impact now, isn't he? So at least he's not doing woo 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 woo, broski. And yeah, so there was 2 in 2006, 2 Elimination Chambers. Bobby Lashley was the winner, and he beat The Big Show, Rob Van Dam, Hardcore Holly, This Is a Test, and CM Punk. They were all on the ECW brand at that time.
It's almost like WWE pushes the big names onto another show to try and get ratings. Where have I seen that before?
Where have I seen that before? Edge NXT. Where have I seen that before? Sending the first ever Universal Champion to NXT. Where have I seen that before?
It's developmental, remember?
Sorry, yeah, it's developmental, because clearly Edge still needs to develop a lot as a superstar, because he was never called the rated R super. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? You know, very cynical of us, Gav. I think maybe. Yeah, nothing's been proven. SmackDown brand got one for the 2008. The Phenom being the winner of that one. That had some big blokes in that. We had Batista, Fit Finlay, who now is one of the backroom guys at WWE, the Great Khali, Big Daddy Viss. Yeah, it was a shambles, wasn't it, Great Khali? The Punjabi cage match. What was all that about? They actually sold it as well.
We want to get into the India market.
Yes, we must flood the stereotypical Indian market by giving them everything Punjabi and stuff.
Sponsored by Tango.
Sponsored by Tango. You've been tangoed. The Great Khali, Big Daddy Viss, aka the artist formerly known as Viscera, and Mark Henry. So that will have had to have been some sturdy steel to withhold all those guys throwing each other around, man, because that will have been some serious weightage in that one. But The Undertaker came out on top, and normal service resumed later that year for the Raw brand at No Way Out when Triple Yawn won again, this time beating Shawn Michaels, Jeff Hardy, Little Bit of the Bubbly, the Demogod, Chris Jericho, JBL, and Umaga. Umaga had that killer thumb, didn't he? That killer thumb jab thing. And yeah. And then the following year, not content with staying on Raw, Triple H switched over to SmackDown. And I know this is going to come as... You are sat down, aren't you, Gav?
I am. Luckily.
Good, right, because Triple H switched over to SmackDown the following year, and I know it's going to come as a big shock and surprise to a lot of people. But Triple H won it for the SmackDown brand. I know. I didn't see that coming. He beat Edge, Jeff Hardy, The Undertaker, The Big Show, and wait for it, here's a blast from the past. And my eldest, I think this is one of the first ever wrestling figures he got. Do you remember Vladimir Kozlov?
Unfortunately.
I mean, he was really well hyped one end. Don't know, just unlike the Postman, he just failed to deliver. And then we had No Way Out again. But this was for the Raw brand, with Edge winning it, and he was a last-minute replacement. Now we need to look into that. Who did Edge replace at the last minute and No Way Out 2009 to win the Elimination Chamber? Because he beat John Cena, Chris Jericho, Bubbly, Rey Mysterio, Kane, and do you remember this one? Mike Knox.
Not a single memory of him.
No, Mike Knox. A very fleeting career in WWE, but he managed to get himself into an Elimination Chamber. But yeah, I need to look into that then.
Title. Who replaced Edge?
No, who Edge replaced?
Oh, it was Kofi
Kingston.
Edge.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he was meant to beat him, and then it was a scripted attack on him during his entrance.
Oh, by whom?
By Edge.
By Edge himself?
Yeah.
I would have thought, man. That's awesome script writing. So, yeah, Edge won it.
Haven't we done this before with the Royal Rumble as well?
And
probably about 50 matches.
Nah, they can't. They wouldn't use the same idea 50 times.
No.
Twice, thrice. Nah.
They've only used this gimmick match 28 times, haven't they?
And if they did, it would purely be for developmental purposes. So, Edge won that one. Mike Knox. Yeah, there's one. Last from the past. And then we move on to 2010. So this was the first ever its own pay-per-view, Elimination Chamber. So 11 years ago was the first self-titled pay-per-view of Elimination Chamber, which saw You Can't See Him, John Cena win, beating the likes of Triple H, Sheamus, Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston, and I recently saw him and watched a video of this last guy, along with his dad, doing some self-help work for fellas, like a sort of like a man club in churches. Ted DiBiase Jr. Do you remember Ted DiBiase Jr.?
I don't actually remember him.
There was a faction, like a very short-lived faction with him, Randy Orton and Cody. And I think Davey Boy Jr. was like around at the same time as well. In the same year, for the SmackDown brand this time, Chris Jericho beat The Undertaker, CM Punk, Rey Mysterio, John Morrison, and before they turned him into his very own gimmick, R-Truth. R-Truth. Which for me is, at the moment, the best thing about Raw, is just R-Truth. They need to give R-Truth...
much to, beat, is there?
Well, no. But I think they should give R-Truth 2 hours of that 3-hour show just to be R-Truth.
Yeah,
as long as it doesn't come out... as long as it doesn't come out rapping with Road Dogg again. Because...
Oh, no.
That was just... Remember when it was called K-Quick? Do you remember that? K-Quick?
Yes.
Oh dear, that was shocking. Oh, that was poor. Well, it wasn't even that good. And Elimination Chamber 2011 saw Edge again. And he'd beat Rey Mysterio, Kane, The Big Show, Drew McIntyre, and Bad News Barrett. Wade Barrett. The colour commentator for NXT. Wade Barrett. Former leader of Nexus. Do you remember Nexus?
Yeah, they were good.
I liked Nexus. There was some good wrestlers to come from that. Huskus came from there, didn't he? Huskus, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt. Yeah. And Skip Sheffield, a.k.a. Ryback. came from Nexus
Skip
as well.
Sheffield. I mean,
Skip Sheffield.
Sheffield
No one...
does need a skip, really.
It does, but no wonder he changed his name to Ryback. Do you know what I mean? Who am I going to fight tonight? Skip Sheffield. Oh no, don't. Not with that name. And then 2011 for
CM
the
Punk.
Raw brand.
Who's in?
Who was in Nexus?
CM Punk, wasn't he?
He was. Now, he was the leader of the second Nexus, wasn't he? And I believe in that group, did they have... Oh, who's that guy who used to say he had like 6 kids to feed and he really needed to win a match?
I've got kids to feed. Is it Heath Slater? I think... No.
Heath Slater, yes. Yes, Heath Slater. He was part of Nexus. Oh, there's another one, isn't they? Like, members of
Bryan.
Nexus, where are they now? That'll be another good one.
Daniel Bryan, and then he got kicked out for...
Daniel Bryan was in Nexus. And there was another... That's right. And there was a guy called Mason something or other. Who, like, he looked like the next
Ryan.
Batista. And Mason Ryan, he was amazing. And then, like, they just, in typical WWE style, just didn't do anything with him. And then, just got a shot of him, you know.
His last match was apart from going to Inoki Genome Federation, was in the United Kingdom as well for Pro Wrestling Pride.
When was that?
That was 2015. So I'm assuming he's...
Wow.
I'm assuming he's given up. But he was also in the American version of Gladiators. No,
he was in the American version of Gladiators.
British version, wasn't
Oh, was he in the British version?
Yeah, it's Goliath.
Goliath, yes, of course he is. Yes. So, no, it's not been a bad career. Then we moved on to... Is he Welsh?
From Port
No way. Who else was in the Nexus, Gav? Because I'm enjoying this part now. Nexus. We've covered Skip Sheffield. And if anybody can get the pictures of Bray Wyatt when he was in the Nexus, it's hilarious.
David Tonga.
With his short blonde hair. Oh, yes. Now, David Tonga, did he became a commentator for a while, didn't he?
I'm really quick Wikipediaing.
Yeah, I'm sure he was like a commentator for a while. I don't know if like he picked up a serious injury or something and
he's on
he
the
couldn't
SmackDown
wrestle anymore.
Team.
Yeah, that's right. SmackDown. Yeah, David Tonga.
And now he's just occasionally appearing because of his acting career.
Yeah. Oh, right. Maybe he's making Marines 720, 50 or something.
It was an episode of Criminal Minds. Nothing really to talk about. Celebrity ghost stories.
Oh, do you know what? I do enjoy celebrity ghost stories, not going to lie. I do like them. They are very well produced. Whether you believe that stuff or not, I quite like them. I think they're quite cool. We digress. So then we go on to, so obviously from there, we said, like I said, John Cena won for the Raw brand as well. And then we move on to 2012, where CM Punk, as the champion, defeated The Miz, Chris Jericho, Kofi Kingston, Ziggler, and R-Truth. Daniel Bryan also won it in the same pay-per-view as well, beating, get ready for this, The Big Show, all right, The Great Khali, okay, the Natural Nightmare, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, Wade Barrett, and when you think of like a big final pay-per-view, you're thinking, yeah, we're going to get the creme de la creme of our SmackDown brand in there. So who else are you going to put in there other than Santino Marella?
The snaky hand.
Sneaky hand. The Cobra.
All
the
I can
Cobra.
think of is what's it called? Ace Ventura. Where he's doing.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's not as if WWE had done that before with a certain Mick
Cactus.
Cactus. Dude.
Oh,
Yeah, it'll
dude,
come to
what's
me.
it called?
Oh, dude, what's that man's name? I'm kind of thinking Mick. Nah.
Cactus Mick.
Cactus Dude Mickley.
Love.
Or something like that. Yeah. Dude Foliage or something. I don't know. Something like that. But yeah, so Santino Marella was in there. Oh, that's money. And then it moved on. So this was a World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 29, where in the Elimination Chamber you had Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, Mark Henry. Jericho loves an Elimination Chamber, don't I? Mark Henry, Kane, Daniel Bryan, but they were all defeated by the Inner Circle's own Jack Swagger.
I have something amazing to add about Santino Marella.
Hit me with it.
He was in Jingle All the Way too.
I know. My wife didn't believe me that that's a thing. Jingle All the Way too, but it's a thing, innit? Jingle All the Way too exists. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wonder why Arnie didn't want to be signed on for that one.
Someone actually invested $5 million for that film.
This is what cracks me up. Like, like when you see, like if you go through Netflix or like Amazon Prime, or if you just look at things like that, like Jingle All the Way too, right? And you're thinking, right, so there'll have had to have been a script, first of all. So somebody actually took the time out to write a script. Then they took the time out to send that script off to studios. A studio took the time to read that and arrange a meeting with people about how this film can get off the ground. And then somebody said, here's $5 million as well. Who at that meeting thought that they were going to get a return on that? Honestly, you might as well invest in rocking horse poo.
There is actually a really good little trivia about that film.
Go on.
Claude, who Santino Marella plays, he's on. They're riding a bull at one point for some reason, and he only lasts 1 second, which is the same as he did in the Royal Rumble.
That is good trivia, actually. Poor old Santino, bless him. Good for comedy value, though. So yeah, so we had then the following year it was. Yeah, it was a smooth segue. So Jack Swagger won it, and then the following year, Randy Orton won it. Bored. He beat Daniel Bryan, John Cena, Cesaro, Christian, and Sheamus.
What a shame!
And then, I know, what a shame. But tell you what, though, I am liking Sheamus as he is currently because there was rumours, wasn't there, that he was never going to get back in the ring again about a year or two ago. So it's good to see him, kicking some butt like the white ginger ghost that he is.
How could he be so white?
I know. He literally, if he shaved his full head and his mustache off and his sideburns,
he'd be fucking Casper.
I was going to say, do you think he would be Casper?
A live action version of Casper starring Sheamus.
A live action. Can you imagine that? Like, it's got
Vinny, I
pinned by
10%.
a ghost.
10%.
Yeah,
from that.
10%. Yeah. Big money, Matt Hardy signed the contract. Then, 30%. 30%. Sammy, you owe me money. Sammy, you owe me money. How much is this laptop worth? Big money, Matt Hardy. Love him. Legend. I hope Hangman Page beats him. And yeah, you with me with this one, Gab, before we got on air. The first ever Tag Team Championship Elimination Chamber. Do you want to tell us who was in that?
Yeah, so I was distracted by looking at Sheamus and the stuff he's done as Casper. Yeah,
Sheamus, he is a ghost. Yeah.
Corpus Christi, Texas. Lasting a staggering 23 minutes 40 seconds. Won the shortest one, I think.
That's quite poor, isn't it, really? Especially for a tag team one.
The second one was the shortest one they ever had, which was under 20 minutes.
Wow.
This is the third shortest one that I can see.
It's a bit poor,
New
isn't
Day
it?
versus the Primetime Players. That didn't last long. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. The Ascension. That lasted a long time. The Lucha Dragons. Yeah. And Los Matadores. So basically, one or two good tag teams. You've gone quiet. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can. What? Crackly there.
Oh.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
He's back.
I was just doing my Marceau impression. Just going on my artist on you.
Stream on.
It's amazing. When you look at that, how many wrestlers are still in WWE from that? So we've got, obviously, the New Day, Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods. They're all in it. Titus O'Neil.
He's still there. Have you gone again? Yep, you gone again. Sort your cable out. I have no idea what you've done to it.
Silly behaviour.
Can't hear you again. Yeah, but I want the part that goes in. That's going to fix it. Nope. What have you done? Can't hear you.
Is that working?
It is now.
Yay! The settings went doolally on my laptop. Yeah, so we've got the three members. The three members of New Day. Titus O'Neil, Cesaro. That's 5.
What about the legend of Sin Cara?
Sin Cara, yeah, where did he go?
Which one? The original or the new one?
Sin Cara. Well, yeah, because there's been a couple of Sin Caras, haven't they? I love the way they actually put him in the Scooby-Doo cartoon, and he doesn't talk. It's kind of pointless. Gav, there was an Intercontinental one. What happened there? The one and only Intercontinental Championship, I believe, thus far, in the world of Elimination Chambers.
Mr. Ryback defeated the Celtic Warrior Sheamus, the lesser brother of the Ziggler brothers, Mark Henry, R-Truth again, and this time it's King Barrett.
King Barrett. All right, lads, it's King Barrett here. King Barrett. Yeah, so Ryback, a.k.a. Skip Sheffield, won the Intercontinental Championship. Skip Sheffield.
I thought that was a good
and I know, yeah, bless him. And Vince, it hasn't been a Vince idea. You look like a Skip Sheffield. Then we got on to 2007.
Every time I go to Manchester on the train, I wish I could skip Sheffield.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We should do that. Like, just hold up a picture of like him. All disbanding now for Sheffield, and then just hold a picture of Skip Sheffield. Feed me more. And yeah, and then we got into 2017. Bray Wyatt, awesome, beating John Cena, the champion at the time, AJ Styles, The Miz, Dean Ambrose, and Baron Corbin, aka Dean Ambrose, the Mox. If only Eddie Kingston could really get over that. Maybe he will one day. Maybe. And then we had the first ever Raw Women's Championship as well on that one. For the following year, 2018, which saw Alexa Bliss, the champion, defeat Sasha Banks, Bayley, Mickie James, Sonya Deville, and Mandy Rose. And for the men's, we had the big dog, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, defeat Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, Finn, developmental Balor, John Cena, Elias, and The Miz. And then we're coming up to now, the latter end of the history. So in 2019, we had the first ever Raw SmackDown Women's Tag Team Championship. What happened in that one, Gav?
Not a lot. Bailey and Sasha Banks won as they always do.
Yep.
It was against Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, and the career destroyer Nia Jackson Tamina, the Riot Squad,
Yes.
and
I
the
know.
Iconics who should have really won, and Naomi and Carmella, because why not put them in?
Yeah, I know I've said it before. I just don't get Carmella. I just don't get the character. Yeah, and then we had the SmackDown WWE Championship where Daniel Bryan, as champion, defeated Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, and probably one of the last times he appeared in a match, Samoa Joe. What's the deal with Samoa Joe? Is he permanently on the shelf?
I think he's injured still, isn't he? That's a lot.
Yeah, because he's commentating, isn't he, on Raw? But I just didn't know if there was any, if he is permanently on the shelf or not. And then last year,
he suffered an injury, hurting his head during a commercial shoot and was not medically cleared.
Right,
And
doing a
he's
commercial
suspended
shoot.
for 30 days for the wellness policy.
Oh, right. Okay, then. So that's why he's probably on commentating duty then for the foreseeable. We had the tag team SmackDown even tag team championship SmackDown, and yeah, it was the Miz and John Morrison, the champions at the time, defeating the New Day. The Usos. Looking forward for when Jimmy comes back, see how that pans out. Heavy Machinery, Otis and Tucker, beautiful men. Lucha House Party, and Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode as well. And the Women's Championship saw Shayna Baszler defeat Natalya, Liv Morgan, Asuka, Ruby Riott, and Sarah Logan.
Is that before Asuka, Asuka, however it's pronounced? I'm pretty sure it's Asuka. Is that after she started not being able to win every match again?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. And and then obviously we've got tonight. So tonight in the main event for Raw, we'll see Drew McIntyre defend his championship against AJ Styles, Randy Orton. Don't know why. Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, and strange last-minute entry of Kofi Kingston as well, who managed to scrape through on not last SmackDown but the one before, last Raw, sorry. And then we have the WWE Universal Championship match on the same night, which will be Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens versus King Corbin versus Sami Zayn versus Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan. So this will be for a spot at who fights Roman Reigns, I would imagine. Because, so be interesting if Jey Uso won that, though. Do you know what I mean? And in terms of victories and eliminations, we have Triple H with 4 victories, 6 appearances, and 7 eliminations at the top.
Yeah.
Shock.
What's surprising most is Chris Jericho has had the most appearances.
Yeah, Chris Jericho, you're right though. Gav has had the most appearances and he's also had the most eliminations of 10, but with only 1 victory on there as well. And I'm blown away to see the fact of, Hardcore Holly doesn't get any. Finn Balor has had 0. Who else on there? Batista only had 3 eliminations on there.
Kane's not won a single
one. Kane's not won a single one, has he? But he's been in 5 altogether. So there we are, guys. There's the history of Elimination Chamber. Now, Gav, before we wrap up, what are your predictions for tonight's Elimination Chamber matches?
Well, looking at the card itself, there's only 5 matches the whole pay-per-view. That is just a shame. How can you have 5 matches for a pay-per-view?
it's they're going to flesh it out some way, aren't they?
But
Do you know
like
what I mean?
last
They
year,
are
there was
going to
8.
really.
7 on the show, 1 in pre-show. So 7 matches. This year,
It's madness, isn't it?
it's just a shame. It's a pointless. It's going to be
It's well, yeah.
Whoever wins the Elimination Chamber match to go against Reigns, it's going to be a squash match. So that match is going to be a couple of seconds.
Of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. It's going to be such a poor excuse for a match that as well. Okay, then reaction then. So for the SmackDown one, who do you think is going to win that?
Kevin Owens, because there's going to be another squash match where Kevin Owens will get just ruined as usual.
Okay, you're going Kevin Owens for that one. I'm going to go Daniel Bryan for that one.
And then get squashed by Reigns.
Think. Oh, 100%. It's going to be a squash match, 100%. So I'm going to go, I'm going to go Daniel Bryan for that one. And you're going to go for, did you say Kevin Owens?
Yeah.
What about the Raw one then? Who's going to win the Raw?
Drew McIntyre, because they're pushing him too much to get rid of him now.
I think so, yeah. And I think to be fair, I think he deserves to headline WrestleMania as well. I think he really does. I really like Drew McIntyre. I think just the way he's changed his physique, he's come back, he's really grafted out. He works great as a heel or as a face as well. And I can see a big build-up to Drew versus Sheamus for WrestleMania. And that potentially could be Sheamus's swan song.
Yeah,
I believe.
It's about time.
I think so, because in his defence, though, he has carried a lot of injuries, and a lot of serious injuries over recent years. So there we are. In terms of the women's one,
well, they don't even have an Elimination Chamber this year.
Well, they do they? Which is quite disappointing. Do we see Asuka dropping the title tonight?
I hope not. Really hope not. Well,
I think we need to get
a women's championship match.
Is it in the chamber?
There isn't a match.
There isn't one.
No, there's a women's tag match.
Oh, that's poor.
The WWE Championship, the Elimination Chamber, triple threat for United States Championship, Elimination Chamber for the title match, the squash match, and then women's tag match. That's it.
So again, they've missed a trick, haven't they? They've missed a trick there once again. I really think we could have used tonight as a big build up, because I really want to see Charlotte Flair turn heel after all this creepy, awful storyline that's going on with Lacey and Ric Flair. Yeah, I think once that nonsense has been put to bed, we should have Charlotte Flair turn heel and her versus Asuka for the title. I think that could be a goer. But yeah, so we'll see how the pay-per-view pans out.
Apparently, go for it. Actually legitimately pregnant. It's not just
is she?
Thing, yeah. Obviously not.
Fair play.
The obvious candidate.
Obviously, no. Good grief! Oh, that'd be supreme vomit, wouldn't it? If that was reality.
Yeah, WWE's not actually announced the match is cancelled. The Asuka one, but it's cancelled.
It will be cancelled, won't it? So it'll be interesting to hopefully we'll wrap up that nonsense with Lacey Evans on there as well, and and I think that does the podcast for tonight. So obviously, if anybody else has got any memories that they want to share about the Elimination Chamber, and if obviously they've posts want to give us their predictions as well, please go to the Facebook page and obviously the YouTube channel as well. Put in your opinions and just spread the word. take the links that are being posted up on Facebook, share them amongst anybody and everybody who you think has an opinion on wrestling, and tune in for the next show where we'll no doubt dissect this, and also what's happening in the world of AEW and Impact as well. I think we might want to explore that a bit more, I think, next week, Gav.
Yes, it's an interesting subject. What's going to happen next, and who's
Yeah,
actually benefiting from it the most? I think Impact's
absolutely.
benefiting more than AEW.
I think so, massively. Yeah, because
That's a good
I
thing.
think Impact was struggling.
Hmm.
But yeah, so we'll build up to that then for next week's show. So it's goodbye from me. Gav, have you got anything to tell the wonderful world of wrestling fans?
No, watch the interview we did last week. You
Oh
missed it if
yes,
you
of
don't.
course. Yeah. So if anybody, yeah, please plug that again, Gav. Go for it. Plug away. Plug away.
If you're not watching that interview right now, then you're an idiot. That's as
Yes,
nice as I
love
can
it.
put it.
Killing them all with kindness. So yeah, so Piledriver Podcast did an interview with Zodiac Zach, aka Zach Knight, aka Zach Bevis. For those of you who have lived under a rock over the last few years and not seen the film Fighting with My Family, is the wrestling brother. Well, they're part of a wrestling dynasty, aren't they? I think every member of the family's a wrestler in some way, shape, or form. And Zach is the brother of WWE UK wrestling royalty. That is Paige, the youngest ever women's champion, and from Norwich in wonderful sunny England. So Zach did an interview with us a few weeks ago. Get on to the Piledriver Podcast to see what Zach's favourite chocolate bar is, and if he was the leader of a Survivor Series team, who would he have in the whole history of wrestlers on his team to back him up, and also discusses his own personal battles with mental health, what it was like filming Fighting with My Family, and something I never knew until we spoke to him was the fact that from the age of 16, this guy was in with TNA, traveling all over with TNA, the likes of AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and also his tryouts as well for WWE, and what his aspirations are once lockdown has been lifted for WAW and him as an individual wrestler. Also, as well, watch out in the future when lockdown restrictions have been lifted. The Piledriver Podcast will be taking our families down there to watch us get our heads kicked in a masterclass on wrestling from Zach and Co as well. So I'll be sure to take a ton of paracetamols with me and a few band-aids for that one. So yes, good plug, Gav. I forgot to mention that one. All the best, folks, and tune in next week, 8 o'clock, for the Piledriver Podcast.